Hi Saviors, GH here. This video is gonna be all about elemental weakness and elemental reactions. We're gonna explain all about it, and we're gonna do it by actually dealing with elemental enemies. And with that said, let's do this! Okay, first element is Pyro. And to give a better explanation, let's fight a Pyro Slime. And as you can see, the Pyro Slime is immune to Pyro attacks, obviously. Now, let's try the obvious weakness, Water or Hydro. By using water attacks, we can trigger an elemental combo or reactions. And in this case, it's Vaporize, which will make the attack deal extra damage and removes the pyro mark above the pyro slime's head. If Vaporize is done repeatedly. Now, when that mark on the pyro slime's head disappears, water attacks will get lower damage. It's because there's no more elemental combo or reactions. And that's what makes an element strong against another element. Without it, you might as well just hack and slash the enemy. The mark above the enemy, sometimes monsters have them by default and sometimes they can conjure it. Or you can mark them yourselves by attacking the enemy with the element you want to mark them. And based off my testing, water does about 100% more damage against fire. So it's pretty effective against fire. So, as we've seen, Pyro is weak against Hydro because it results in Vaporize, which increases damage there. Now let's test Ice or Cryo. As you can see, it results in an elemental combo called Melt. And what it does is deals extra damage. And based on that, we can say Ice is effective against Fire, but adds only about 50% more damage. Still extra damage though, so we can say it's effective. Next is Lightning or Electro, and using it on a pyro marked enemy results on Overload, which deals area fire damage. So now, can we say Lightning is effective against fire? In this case of the pyro slime, Lightning is not effective against fire even though there's a reaction, because the reaction causes a fire type attack, which is the pyro slime is immune to, because it's a fire elemental monster. If the pyro marked monster is not by default fire element, electro attacks will be effective. So there it goes. You can't really say electro is strong against pyro just because it has a reaction. The base element of the monster will determine that. So recap early. Pyro is weak against Hydro, Cryo, and most of the time Electro, depending on the element of the monster. Next, we're gonna test against Fire is Anemo or Wind. And as we can see, the Pyro and Anemo reaction is called Swirl. And what it does is spread the element combined with Wind. And in this case, it's Fire. The Pyro Slime is immune to Fire. Don't mind the damage because my Traveler is OP ass. Anyway, it has the same effect as Electro. It's only effective if the marked enemy is not immune to the element you're combining with. And yeah, by the way, we're not gonna talk about Geo because the reaction of Geo on other elements is a crystal that can give character shielding, and also plant or dendro since it's not used that much in game. Okay, next element we're gonna test out is Hydro. And like the first, we're gonna look for a Hydro Slime to test it out. Now, let's try Pyro against Hydro. And as you can see, attacking a Hydro Slime with a Pyro attack results in Vaporize. And I'm not gonna show you all the tests that I did, but the increased damage is only about 50%. We can say Fire is effective against Water, but not as effective as Water against Fire, because Water against Fire increases damage about 100%. Next is Cryo. Let's go test it out. And using Cryo against a Hydro marked enemy freezes them. And while they are frozen, You can melt them with fire for extra damage or just break it with a great sword. We can say it's effective because of that. Next element is Electro, and using Electro against Hydro results in Electro Charged, which deals electric damage over time. And because of that, we can say Electro is effective against Hydro. Now Anemo or Wind. Using it on Hydro spreads Hydro Elemental Area attack. And using it on a Hydro Slime means nothing because it's immune to water. Anemo plus Hydro only works on enemies that are not Hydro element immune. That should cover the Hydro stuff. The next element we're gonna test out is Cryo. And of course, we went out and looked for a Cryo Slime. Now, let's try Pyro. And as you can see, attacking a Cryo marked enemy results in Melt, which deals extra damage, which means it's effective against ice. Next is Hydro. So, using water on ice results on freeze, which makes water effective against ice, vice versa. Except this ice slime, because it's immune to being frozen. Now, Electro. Now, using Electro on ice results in Superconduct, which deals AoE cryo damage and reduces target's physical resistance by 50%. And as you can see, the Cryo Slime is immune to ice attacks, which means it's not as effective. But if you use Electro on a Cryo marked enemy that is not by default ice type, it will be effective. In conclusion, we can say Electro is most of the time effective against ice. And now Anemo, and using it on Cryo spreads ice attack, and the Cryo Slime is immune to ice, which makes it not effective. But Anemo plus Cryo on a Cryo marked enemy that is not immune to ice is effective. So we can say that Wind is most of the time effective against Cryo marked enemies, except for enemies that are immune to ice. That should take care of the ice interactions. Last element we're gonna test out is Electro. Now, testing Pyro on Electro results on Overload, which deals area fire damage. And luckily, the Electro Slime is not immune to fire. So that means fire is truly effective against Electro. Next we're testing is Hydro. And as you can see, it triggers Electro Charge, which deals electro damage over time. The problem here is the Electro Slime is immune to Electro, which means it's not effective. But if you use Hydro on an Electro marked enemy which is not immune to Electro, in that case, it will be effective. In conclusion, Hydro is most of the time effective against Electro. Next one is Cryo, and using ice attack on Electro results in Superconduct, which deals ice damage, and it works on the Electro Slime, which means Cryo is truly effective against an Electro marked enemy. Then lastly, Anemo, and much like the other elements, as you can see, the combination of Anemo and Electro spreads Electro attacks, and the Electro Slime is immune to it, which means it's not as effective. But using Anemo on an Electro marked enemy that is not immune to Electro, it will be effective because the enemy will receive extra damage. And that's it, saviors. Oh my god, I hurt myself in my confusion. Elemental weakness and reactions. Leave a like if this helped you. Share so that the YouTube does show my videos, and subscribe to be part of the Gaming Hardcore family. And as always, this is Gaming Hardcore. See you in the next one.